Good morning, everyone. Stephen Underwood here with Veterans in Victory Incorporated. And here we are with another episode of Veterans in Victory podcast. And just wanted to make sure that I continue getting some content out to you guys and, of course, learn and get better with each episode. Hopefully, here before too long, we're going to start having an introduction and some end credits at the end and really try to professionalize some of the video here as well as the audio portion of the podcast. But, we all got to start from somewhere, and having had zero experience with doing podcasts or anything like that, I'm working with what I have. So, I'm a firm believer is, you can plan all you want, but until you actually get started, it doesn't really matter how much you plan. So just want to get some content out to you and hopefully it'll be a help to you. I do want to talk about for a few minutes something that kind of carries over from the last episode as far as dealing with employers and veterans in general. There's, excuse me, something called the protected veteran status. And so when you send your resume or you fill out an application online, most of the time, especially now, it asks you if you are a protected veteran. Well, what does that mean? Well, a protected veteran is a service-connected disability disability approved veteran, essentially. And so here's just a portion, what I believe is one of the most important paragraphs in defining what a protected veteran is. It says, according to the U.S. Equal Opportunity Commission, a disabled veteran must also be given reasonable accommodation to do the job. This could include things like providing accessible print formats, and this is very important, modifying the work schedule and making the office environment more accessible. And so that point there where it says modifying the work schedule is not simply, being allowed to take time off whenever you want, but it does provide provision for you to be able to make your VA appointments for treatments or doctor's appointments for treatments without repercussion. And so it's very important that you understand what this is, because I'll just be honest with you, most employers, they say all the right things in the hiring process because they want to get you on board, but then when they get you on board, things tend to change, unfortunately. It's just the day that we live in. It's no longer about trying to take care of good employees as much as it is about trying to make more money. And you working for them and you being on the clock means more money. And so you have to be careful and lay it out on the front end that it's important for you to be able to continue your treatments, because what happens is if you start missing too many appointments at the VA, then you're going to have trouble getting the help that you need when you need it, and eventually you could even find yourself outside of the VA system for health care. And so you must be sure to make your appointments. That means that there should not ever be any repercussions from your employers when you go to your VA appointments. Now, we all know that there's ways around this. An employer can find any and every excuse that they want to reprimand or correct you without saying it's because you're missing time at work for your appointments. They'll never come out and say that because they're smarter than that. They know that lawsuits could come afterwards. They could lose any sort of federal aid or assistance when it comes to hiring disabled veterans or any of the other tax benefits that they might receive as well. And so they're not ever going to come right out and say it. But I'll tell you just from personal experience, I noticed that when I started having to have regular VA appointments, that my employer, they never had a problem with anything before. And as a matter of fact, verbally, I was constantly being praised for the job that I was doing. But when it came time for my review, the official statement was that I was meeting satisfactory remarks and I was below satisfactory in attendance. Well, the only time that I'd missed work was for appointments, for VA appointments. And so deductive reasoning tells you that that's where the issue lies. And so it's very important to know your rights when it comes to being a protected veteran and having that status. Now, it's going to be up to you how far you want to take it and pursue it. However, it's for your personal protection. A couple of things. They need to know up front that you are a protected veteran, that you fall into that category. And number two, that you are able to have reasonable accommodation for your schedule to make those appointments. You should not ever be reprimanded or have repercussions or attitudes changed against you for being able to go to your appointments. As I said, an employer is never going to say that. They're going to come up with a million different excuses for why you're being reprimanded. And quite frankly, the majority of them are not going to make any sense, and they're going to be contradictory to what was told at other times and everything, but that's just the nature of the beast. But you need to be aware of being a protected veteran and having that status and what it means. So I say all that to say, make sure that you're upfront and honest on the front end. If you're looking for a new position, if you're looking for a career change, make sure that your employer or future employer, potential employer knows that you are a protected veteran. And then also know your rights. You need to make sure that you make your VA appointments, because your health is more important than your boss making a bunch of money and looking good. They don't want to hear that, but that's just the truth of the matter. And so saying that, I hope that you'll take advantage of the opportunities that are afforded you. There are a lot of benefits to hiring veterans and disabled veterans. That's why you have a lot of employers that actually advertise we're an equal opportunity employer and we hire disabled veterans and things like that, because they receive a lot of tax benefits for that. They receive incentives from the government for being willing to hire disabled veterans and protected veterans. And so they receive the benefits. You need to also receive the benefits that are due to you in being a protected veteran. So make sure that you're going to your appointments. As I've said in other episodes, one of the biggest struggles that the VA has, especially when dealing with disabled veterans, is getting them to their appointments for the treatment. And what happens is often veterans will get frustrated with the system. They'll have problems at work. They'll have problems in their daily routine and schedule getting there. And so what they do is they tend to neglect or forget about their appointments altogether, and it just progresses and makes matters worse. And so we've got to have the mindset that we are going to take care of ourselves, because if we can't take care of ourselves, then there is no point in trying to take care of anyone else. You have to be of good health and good state of mind in order to properly care for your family and others. So it's not something that you should ever neglect. It's always something that you should be mindful of and make sure that you are doing whatever you can to care for your health. It's not something that we can ignore. We ignored it for several years when we were in the service. I remember there were, especially on post-deployment, I had already had some of the tinnitus, I already had some hearing loss going on, but I was afraid that if I brought anything like that up, that it would delay me being released from our post-deployment screening in order to be free and home. And so what did I do? I did just like any other service member coming back from deployment. I kept my mouth shut and I said, I'll worry about it later. Well, later turned into 10 years. And so now I'm having to play catch up on a lot of these things when I could have already been being seen and treated for some of the issues that I have. I was sharing with another gentleman the other day. I said, I'm about to turn 40 on Monday. I will turn 40, and I said, my mind still thinks I'm 20, but my body is more like 60. And so that's just the way it is. The last audiology report I had showed scarring on both of my eardrums, and they pointed out, they said, you see the white part? And I said, that's all I see is the white part. And they said, well, that's scar tissue. And so my hearing is borderline needing hearing aids. And of course, the VA has their own stipulations and regulations for what is required for hearing aids for them to cover. But at a civilian doctor, at a private care physician, I would need hearing aids. I'm going to hold out as long as I can, just because I don't like anything in my ears or touching my ears or anything like that. But that's one of the things that I maybe, if I had been upfront and honest on the post deployment side, that I could have been treated for and possibly been in a lot better position than I am now. But I say that to say it doesn't matter how long you've waited. It doesn't matter. If you've put it off, you can correct it now. You can be seen and treated for the issues and the health concerns that you might have now, and you can live a halfway normal life, receiving the treatment that you can get from the VA. And so, as we said, one of the goals for Veterans in Victory is to be able to provide transportation for veterans that may have a hard time getting back and forth to the VA. I recently bid on a government website that does auctions on a passenger van, and I thought I was going to get it. I got down to the wire, and of course somebody bid $25 more than I did, which was the bid increments, and I checked the Veterans in Victory account, and I didn't have enough to cover it, and so I stopped bidding. I don't know what the passenger van sold for, but I thought I was going to get it for right around $500, and I was super excited. But we're still looking, we're still searching for a passenger vehicle so that we can provide that service to disabled veterans that may have difficulty getting to and from the VA for treatment. And so that's one of our goals. I'm still searching for the right place, the right piece of property to where we could put some temporary housing for veterans that are waiting on beds at treatment centers and rehab centers to open up, so that we can get them off of the street and get them into a place where they can begin to do the paperwork, the state and federal funding grants and things like that that are available to them to get them into rehab. Of course, I'm so amazed at what we've been able to do so far in just a short amount of time. Honestly, we received our 501c3 approval on May 15th, and already we've helped 2 different veterans. We were there working with Samuel in his house, who's the amputee disabled veteran, and we were able to clean that up and make it more accessible for him to get around. So I'm super proud for that. And of course, we've helped some homeless veterans by getting, even something as simple as the toiletry items and toiletry kit bags and a blanket and something to try to help them as they live on the streets. I mentioned to you a Marine that I met named Kelly, last name Kelly, who is addicted to fentanyl. Still tried to reach out, no answer. I hope the best, but unfortunately, after speaking with several friends that are much more experienced, there's a high likelihood that either he's still living on the streets and high somewhere, or possibly overdosed, and I won't have the opportunity to hear from him again. However, that just drives me to want to take more opportunities to help our veteran community. And so I am still making connections and networking in the communities to try to find those resources that would be available to help. And so we just want to continue pressing forward. One of the things that we need is we need monthly subscribers and monthly support for Veterans in Victory, so that we can continue to grow and expand our resources to help veterans in need. Something that's very frustrating as a veteran, and I'll be honest with you, to most veterans, is that we have these holidays where we're all patriotic, and we're very patriotic for a day, and then that day passes and everybody goes back to normal life. And we sit here and we're like, red, white, and blue, we love our country, support our troops and all of this, but we can't sacrifice just a little to help them every other day of the week or of the year. And so that's very frustrating to somebody like me that has given the great majority of our youth and young adulthood to serving, including deployments, for our country and our freedom and liberty. And then the majority of America is patriotic on patriotic holidays, and then it's like, okay, we're forgotten about the rest of the year. And so I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody, but that's just the brutal, honest truth. If we're going to celebrate the 4th of July, or we're going to celebrate Memorial Day, then we ought to have that same attitude and spirit year round. If we want to support our troops and we want to support our veterans, then we don't just do it 1 or 2 days a year or 3 days a year if you include Veterans Day. We need to have that mindset year round. So, what does that mean? That means that you can be involved. If you have to cut out a McDonald's lunch once a week so that you could help provide for a veteran in need, then do it. As a matter of fact, we've said this before, you can always find money for things that you want to find money for. You can always find time for things that you want to find time for. So maybe that means, once a month you take a couple hours and you volunteer at a nonprofit that serves veterans, or you volunteer your time and even money and sacrifice just a little bit to help support these missions. It doesn't take much, but every little bit helps. With $10, I could put together roughly 3 toiletry kit bags that I could give out to veterans living on the streets that don't have much, and it's just something as simple as a small comfort. The story behind the chewing gum that was put in the MREs, the meals ready to eat, for soldiers that were on mission and on deployment, was because it was just a morale booster. Having something minty and fresh that made your breath feel fresh after eating an MRE, it was a morale booster. Not only that, but then eventually they started putting candies in there like M&Ms and Skittles and things like that, and that was all for morale boosting. It was to give soldiers that were on missions just a little bit of morale boost so that they could continue to be a mentally sound state and be able to continue to do the mission. And so every little bit helps. Even if we are able to give them a fresh stick of deodorant, a toothbrush, and some toothpaste to help them be able to take care of their personal hygiene, even in harsh circumstances, it's something that will pay dividends for their mental health. We may not see it right away. It may take a long time for them to come around, but I believe something as simple as that, showing a simple act of kindness and providing a physical need like that, will help them in the long run. So we want to continue to expand our services. We want to continue to expand our resources. We want to help as many as we can, but it takes money. Just like anything else in this life, it takes money. And so would you consider getting behind our project? Would you consider getting behind our mission to serve our disabled veterans, our elderly veterans, our homeless veterans, and help us to help them? Our tagline is, we're fighting for those who fought for us. And I'm not just saying that because I am a veteran myself. I really, even if I wasn't a veteran, I would want to see those who have sacrificed so much for us be cared for in such a way that they know that we are a grateful nation. And so we don't ever want to take advantage. We don't ever want to come across as mean-spirited or hard. But at the same time, we have to come to the realization that being able to do what we're doing and help the people that we're helping, it requires money, just like anything else in this life. And so would you consider being a part of that? We're continuing to get out to different events and try to have fundraisers and things like that. But for instance, just to give you an example, it cost us about $300 to go over to Samuel's house to clean up his place free of charge to him for the entire day. We paid $175 for the dumpster because there was a lot of stuff that we filled up I think it was like a 15-foot dumpster. We filled it up to the top. We had to buy cleaning supplies. Of course, I bought pizza because what else are you going to buy for all your volunteers to eat on? Pizza's like the go-to thing, but I bought pizza for our volunteers to eat lunch. We bought the cleaning supplies. We had to make another trip to the store to get some more cleaning supplies because it just took so much. And so those things like that, they require resources, they require funds in order to be able to do it. And so just keep that in mind. Next time you're in the Starbucks drive-thru, now I'm nothing wrong with Starbucks. I enjoy Starbucks. I've got I have $12 left on the Starbucks gift card that I was given, And I use it very sparingly because I'm not one to go through Starbucks on a regular basis. But I know that many of you enjoy your daily Starbucks. Maybe you cut one out. I know that a tall chai latte is roughly around $5. If I give up two of those a week, that's $10. You've already covered what a monthly subscription to Veterans in Victory costs. It's not that big of a sacrifice, and it's something that's going to have lifelong dividends. We have to decide, is what we're investing in today, is it going to matter in the long haul? And I'm not just talking about in this life, but I'm talking about for eternity. We have an opportunity on a personal level to invest in them for things that outlive all of us. We have an opportunity in front of us to invest into the lives of these guys, the lives of these men and women that have served, and see not only their life made have a difference made, but potentially their eternity. We're all going to die someday, and I do not care how much money I make in this life or how successful I am to the world standards. If my life doesn't count for eternity, then what all did it matter? It doesn't. And so at the end of the day, not only do I want to lay my head on my pillow and be satisfied with what I accomplished, but I want to know that at the end of my life, that what I did, the way I spent my life serving others, did it impact others for eternity? All of the items, all of the possessions that we have, they're all going to pass away. They're not going to matter. You're not going to take anything with you to the grave. But your legacy, what you leave behind, will outlive all of us. You can make an eternal impact. You can make an impact on someone's future today by simply sacrificing such a small amount to help us help them. And so I just want to encourage you, I want to challenge you. Maybe consider some of those things that we so often waste our money on, and we give that up once, twice a week. And we say, you know what, I'm going to redirect these funds to something that can impact the lives of others. Well, that's our show for today. We're a little shorter than normal, but I think this is a good stopping point. I hope that you'll continue to join us, continue to support us, and help us to fight for those who have fought for us. That's our heart, and that's our mission, and that's what we want to spend our time and energy focusing on. We are serving disabled veterans, we're serving elderly veterans, and homeless veterans, and those are the people that they deserve so much. And yet often are forgotten, and we do not want to forget about them. Thank you guys once again, and I hope that you have a great day.